Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be the first update to this new series on my channel that is all about my eyeshadow collection and my Eyeshadow No Buy. 2019 was a beauty replacements only no buy year for me, so of course I didn't buy any eyeshadow during that time, but I wanted to continue my no buy with eyeshadows just because I still do have so much beautiful eyeshadows in my collection that I want to get more use out of before I bring in anything new. I can be a little bit nerd sometimes what comes to makeup, and I am really much into makeup inventories and that kind of videos, and it really motivates me to continue this no buy when I see my collection changing in numbers. So when I see my pan percentage grow, when I see the total number of eyeshadows in my collection go down, it really motivates me to keep going until I get to my goal, what I want my collection to be like. Today we are going to talk about my collection right now, all of the numbers, and if I have made any progress since the last month. Then I want to talk about my goals for my eyeshadow collection. I filmed in January my makeup inventory video, and in that video I talked about my goals for each category, except I forgot to talk about my eyeshadow collection goals. And also there was one release in January that is a little bit tempting to me, not so tempting that I would go and break my no buy because of that, but I'm going to talk about one release that caught my eye, and maybe I will try to dupe that from my own collection. And by the way, if you didn't know, this year I'm working on two Pandat palettes. So my main Pandat palette is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, and also I do have a baby Pandat palette that is the e.l.f. Prism eyeshadow palette in Naked. And I can link my Pandat palette playlist down below if you're interested of watching eyeshadow panning videos. So let's talk about the numbers first. The total number of eyeshadows in my collection is still the same, so I didn't finish any eyeshadows yet and I have not decluttered anything. Loose eyeshadows I do have 21 in my collection. Pressed single eyeshadows I do have 33, and they are all stored in one C palette. Then eyeshadow palettes I do have 14, and this does not include my C palette, so if I count the C palette I do have 15 eyeshadow palettes. The total amount of eyeshadows in my collection is 227. So all of these numbers are the same than last month. However, I'm really happy to let you know that my pan percentage has grown. So I do have in total 206 pressed eyeshadows in my collection. Last month I had hit pan on 16 eyeshadows, but in January I hit 2 new pans. So currently the number of eyeshadows I have hit pan on is 18 in my collection, and that makes my pan percentage to be 8.74 when last month it was 7.77. And something I want to mention also is that I don't have yet any empty pans in my eyeshadow palettes. So the progress during this year so far is that I have hit 2 pans, but I haven't finished any eyeshadows yet, and I have not decluttered any eyeshadows. I was pretty ruthless at decluttering my eyeshadow collection last year, and any of my palettes I don't want to declutter, but loose eyeshadows I might declutter at one point because they are a little bit messy, they are more work to use, and I just don't reach for them as lightly as my pressed eyeshadows. Today I'm actually wearing a couple of loose eyeshadows that are in the Fellowship of the Pan project pan, but it's not really common that I wear loose eyeshadows. So I think I might declutter those at some point, but I don't feel I'm quite ready to do it yet. What I know is that those I will not purchase in future. Also, they can be really hard to pan. It almost feels impossible to pan loose eyeshadows because a little bit goes a long way and it's really difficult to follow your progress. It's so motivating when you actually can hit the pan and when you see the pan growing. But with loose eyeshadows, unless you press it, it can be really difficult to follow your progress. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my loose eyeshadows. For now I will keep them, but most likely at some point I will let go of those. But yeah, let's talk about the goals I do have for my eyeshadow collection. So as I said, I do have currently 15 palettes in my collection, including my C palette, and my goal is to get my eyeshadow collection or my eyeshadow palette collection to 10 eyeshadow palettes, including my C palette. So that means that I do still have 5 more palettes what I eventually want to have. And I think 10 is quite good number for me because that really allows me to have a lot of variety, a lot of different color stories, but it's still not overwhelming because I'm totally someone that if I do have too much makeup or too much clothes or too much anything, I do get overwhelmed and I don't want that. But with 10 eyeshadow palettes I could still have a lot of options. Hopefully I can continue this Eyeshadow No Buy as long as it takes to get to my goal. And then when I get to 10 palettes I want to maintain it there. So if I finish up something or if something just totally goes off and I need to declutter it because of that, in that case I could purchase a new palette, but I want to keep it at 10. But because I'm not there yet, I'm going to keep continuing this no buy. I think the only exception when I might purchase an eyeshadow or an eyeshadow palette before I get to my goal is if I really finish all of the eyeshadows in my collection from that color family. For example, I don't have a lot of purple eyeshadows and it's not like I wear purple eyeshadow all the time, but eventually I would love to have one perfect purple palette, and I will show you my purples later in this video because there is one purple palette that is a little bit tempting to me right now, but if it really happens that I finish all of the purple eyeshadows from my collection or most of them so that I really don't have options to do purple looks anymore, maybe in that case I could purchase a purple palette. But honestly I don't think I will need to purchase any new eyeshadows at least in 2 years. Hopefully I could be without buying eyeshadows 2 years from now, so it would be 3 complete years of Eyeshadow No Buy. I think in 2 years from now my collection might be where I want it to be, and then I would just kind of like maintain my eyeshadow collection where it is. But that is my goal and that is where I'm aiming with this no buy. So I think this no buy is going to last quite a while, but I don't mind because I do have so much beautiful eyeshadows in my collection. Honestly, I do have every color I need. Do I have all the shades of the rainbow? No, but there's a reason why I don't have certain shades. Okay, then as I said, in these videos I always want to talk about any temptations I may have, and I may try to dupe these things from my collection if I can. There was one release in January, I believe it was in very beginning of January, if not in the end of December, and it is from my favorite brand, so I will say that I was quite tempted by the Juvia's Place The Mini palettes. So Juvia's Place launched these 4 palettes. 2 of them are more colorful and 2 of them are more neutral, and all of these palettes come with 6 eyeshadows. Let me go through them really quickly. Let's start with the neutrals. These are definitely more my style of palettes. At the same time, I don't really need them. So let's start with the nude one. From all of these palettes, this is for sure most my style. I love lighter eyeshadows. I do have quite small hooded eyes and I do also have light skin tone, so most of the times I just find that lighter neutral eyeshadows are what are the most flattering on my complexion. So I do love how this palette looks. The shimmers look absolutely beautiful. Sorry, I'm looking down. I'm looking a picture from this palette. It looks pretty, however, I don't need something like this right now, but one day, who knows, if my lifestyle changed so that I would need to do my eyeshadow at work or I would travel a lot, I think this palette could be awesome. But right now, it's really not something I need, but it's pretty. And let's talk about the chocolate one. This palette is also really neutral, but this is quite dark. The only shadow that is light in this palette is the yellow one, and to be honest, those kind of shadows are not the most flattering on my complexion. I had a shadow like that I believe that shadow is matte. So I had a shadow like that in the theBalm Meet Matte Nude eyeshadow palette and I never wore it. I just don't think it really did anything to my skin tone. So I think this palette would be for me something that I could come up with really smoky looks, and honestly I do have enough dark browns in my collection, both shimmery and matte. I will probably never be able to go through all of my dark browns, so this is not something I need, but I think for deeper complexion this looks like a beautiful everyday neutral palette. Then let's talk about the colorful palettes. One of these is actually not at all interesting to me, but one of them is. So let's start with the one that I don't want, and it is the berries one. So this palette is a combination of pinky berry shades. It's clearly warmer palette, and to be honest I do have a lot of these eyeshadows in my collection, so it's not something I need, but the violets one looks absolutely amazing. So I don't have a lot of purple eyeshadows in my collection, but the thing is that even though I think purple eyeshadow is extremely flattering on my brown eyes, it's not something I do wear very often, and I don't think I'm going to be using up my purples in really long time. I do have some pops of purple in some palettes, like the Too Faced Chocolate Bar. There is the Said Candied Violet, that is like really one of the lowest quality eyeshadows in the entire palette. But I wanted to show you two palettes where I have most purples of. First one being this BH Cosmetics Foil Eyes Cool to Go 6 color eyeshadow palette. So this is an all shimmery palette, and the bottom row is only purple eyeshadows. So there is this beautiful light lavender. This is for me the most wearable shade. Then there is this more cooler toned, almost like blue based purple, and then there is this warmer purple. And honestly, what comes to shimmery purples, I think this is all I need. Then matte purples, I don't have a lot in my collection, and honestly I don't have as cool toned matte purples as there is in the Juvia's Place palette. However, I do have purples that I can work with, and anyways, my favorite way to wear this more cooler toned purple in this palette is to pair it with cool toned brown crease. I think that looks really flattering on myself, and I do get the pop of color on my lid, but my look is not like super out there colorful. I really do love that look, so maybe I will need to create that soon, because this time of year is when I'm most into purples. But I do have some purples in this BH Cosmetics Modern Matte eyeshadow palette, so let me show this one to you too. So the third row is purples and pinks, and honestly I can totally work with these. I do not need to get this purple palette from Juvia's Place. So yes, it is beautiful. I have watched some reviews of it, but I do have still, even though I don't have a lot of purple eyeshadows and I don't have every shade of purple, I don't need more purples for now, and I probably will get use out of these purples I have for at least a couple of years. One day, yes, maybe I will purchase my perfect purple palette, but honestly I don't even think that it is going to be the Juvia's Place one. Okay, but that was everything for today. Those are my goals and my plans. So if I'm going to continue this Eyeshadow No Buy until I get to my goal, and even still if I'm going to maintain the number of eyeshadows in my collection and not purchase anything, I think my Eyeshadow No Buy is going to last a while. But I don't mind. As I said, I have a lot of beautiful eyeshadows in my collection that I still want to get so much more use out of. I want to see the pan percentage in my collection to grow. So hopefully I can hit pan at least on something by the next update, so there will be change there. But that was everything for today. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in my next one. Bye bye!